Okay.
For it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game.
Take me out to Twitchy Dolphin Media presents Let's Get To. It's baseball from sea to shining sea by the team that brings you home. And now, your host, James Christopher.
It's all you, Miss Nyman. I'm not the host.
Oh, sorry. This is my first time hosting today, everyone. I'm like, line.
We're off to a great start.
What's really funny is that I've hosted now close to 150 of my own show. But today, this morning, I literally nervous texted Jim being like, Jim, what do I do as a host? I don't want to be a disappointment. I was so nervous.
You can never disappoint us.
Oh, thanks, guys. Ed, you didn't say that either, though. So now, can I disappoint you, or
Absolutely
is that what you're implying?
No. I mean, listen. I remember when I hosted the World Series championship game for Jim, with a bunch of guys that were sloshed, so it really didn't matter. So we're good,
All right, perfect. I love to hear that. And also, how could you possibly be disappointed? Because the first thing that we have to talk about this week. Oh, wait, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me introduce everyone since I'm the host. Yes, a very good host. Ed from the Dad Hat Chronicles up in the, he's in my upper right-hand corner. Not sure where he is on your screen, everybody. And of course, our usual host, James Christopher, who is fortunately giving me the mic, the host of Let's Get To and their entire network of shows, but most importantly and most excitedly, this live show. Fellas, how are we feeling today?
Living the dream.
I was, Ed, we were talking about this beforehand. I look forward to this so much because it's been a crappy week, and now we get to just hang out and talk baseball. It's great.
Yeah, I mean, why not, right?
I mean, Jim, honestly, I'm kind of disappointed that your team isn't worse, because it would be really great for the three of us to be able to commiserate about shitty teams. But your team has been playing well, so
I will forward you all to some Astros Twitter accounts who don't think it's been very good, and you can commiserate with them. So,
and then I'm going to tell every single one of those people to shut it
no,
and
seriously.
look at the AL Central. How's that?
It's funny, though, Emily, because we did talk, obviously, on Go Astros about the Yankee series and how different this one felt than the last year, even though it was still a 2-game split both times, because this was it was not a work of art.
No, it was horrible. At least last year, that split in June, despite the Yankees being the victims of that no-hitter or whatever they call it, the multi-pitcher no-hitter.
Yeah.
The Yankees were rolling at that point. That was when they had only lost 19 games. So I remember feeling still oh, who cares? Oh, here you go, Astros. Here's your split. And then the Yankees had the worst second half of all time right into 2023, which it hasn't gotten any better. It's actually gotten worse. So the arrogance that I felt that weekend, man, if that Emily knew what was in store, holy shit, she would have been so mad.
No, shut down super quick.
Yes, I was like, oh yeah, enjoy this one. Oh, you're no-hitter by 10 different pitches. Congrats. You guys then won the World Series, and the Yankees have been playing horrible baseball.
We'll get you guys next year.
World Series no-hitter by 10 different people, too, by the way. It was a thing. I think I was at Frommer's, though. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Was that after we recorded last week?
Yeah. It was after we recorded, I thought.
No, it was before, because I was super happy about it.
I'm still very happy with it.
Oh, yeah, that's right. It was against the Guardians.
Yeah.
And you know what's funny?
I remember saying that I'm glad that it happened to the Guardians.
And at least you have a high point after that now we can start with. how could you possibly be in a bad mood or disappointed? Because does it have to do with your play on the field? No, it doesn't. It has to do with the fact that there was the fight of the century and your team came out as the victor.
Yeah, which is funny because, like, I mean, he came out like a shorter dude, right? Like, I mean,
Yes.
Ramirez is
On the ground.
right. I mean, he was on the ground and everything, and then just when sock him, pop him on this dude, and just clocked him right at the jaw, like, which is beautiful. Which is funny because Tim Anderson was the one who started the fight, got suspended the longest, and then got knocked out until the next game because it was a scheduled day off. Okay. You had a concussion, bro.
I just was glad that because Emily, you and I talked about this last year. Like, I'm glad we saw a real fight in baseball for I mean, this was not this
for
like,
once.
right, let's do this thing. It was
a good fight, yeah.
And I really loved that, like, Tim Anderson, he came out with like what do you see here, buddy? Like a 1920s boxer, and then Ramirez was just literally had his eyes closed and was just swinging his arms. Like, I don't know. Have you guys seen that episode of The Simpsons where Lisa and Bart are like playing hockey and they're just like, if you walk in front of me, it's not that's how Ramirez was swinging his arms and then just clocked him in the side of the face. It was great.
It was awesome. Like, he did 3 swings, missed on all 3 of them, Tim Anderson. And then Ramirez only swung once and got him good. It was beautiful because he just went like, ding, I'm out.
And the umpire tried to break it up and then immediately became a boxing ref. He was like, oh, okay, these guys are squaring up.
I was like, oh, okay, we're hockey now, right? Is this what we're
doing?
Okay, cool. Go. And fight. When once someone gets to the ground, that's when the fight's over. That's what we're going to do. Got it. Okay, cool.
So now, I mean, who cares? That should have won the Guardians the division, in my opinion. That division is such like a toss-up division, no offense, that I feel like that should have been it. Like, sorry, Twins, you guys suck. This should be the division.
Which is
I'm looking down the new rules. Where does one fight fill into the top?
It should be.
I know there's got to be an article in the MLB Constitution.
It should give you at least 5 games, and that would put us 2.5 up on the Twins right now. But it hasn't. Which is this division is so bad, guys. It is so bad. It is that bad.
A few weeks ago, someone and forgive me if I'm repeating this, I can't remember if it was on this show or another one, that someone literally was like, someone is going to pop champagne and dump it all over themselves for winning this division. The AL Central talking about. It's like, yeah, someone is. It's going to be hard fought.
And someone is going to be hosting a playoff
and maybe
because they won the division.
500 record. Well, that's the thing. Like, because you're starting to look at playoff position and you're sitting there going, maybe the 6th, the last wild card spot's the one to have because you'll go to Minnesota.
Right.
You're not going to Houston.
I want it.
Yeah. Take my ass to Minnesota.
Yeah, right. Like, I mean, come on now. Right now, the team that's holding the last spot is Toronto. So Toronto will be going to Minnesota.
And we'll flatten them.
Oh, for sure. Yes. I mean, wait, hold on a second though, because they lost 1-0 the day before. Last night they won 1-0 against Cleveland. So if they don't pick up their bet soon, they're gonna look pretty stupid. But as of right now, yeah, I give Toronto the edge on that one.
I mean, I really need the Yankees to win that position because, as you guys, I'm sure, are both very aware, it is like one of the laws of nature that the Minnesota Twins cannot defeat the Yankees in the postseason. It's just one of those things, God decides or whoever. It's out of our hands, and I need that 6th spot.
I would like to remind the Minnesota broadcaster, though, to not mention that in the broadcast at all. Because
he might just get fired.
Oh
right.
That is insane. And you know what? Since we have a platform here and all the other broadcasters got to voice, and I really like that solidarity among all the broadcasters, that it was basically across the entire league.
Yeah.
That is so unbelievably wrong that, listen, I know that Michael Kay in particular, that he's not someone who can really sound off too much because at the end of the day, he works for Yes and works for the Steinbrenners. But he does make the point, and you never feel like he's lying. And he said that one of the most important things about being part of the media is the fans feeling like you're telling them the truth and you're able to say what you need to say. And in his case, it wasn't even like a criticism. It wasn't
a bad one either.
Well, in many ways, look, first of all, we all know that these guys are employed by the team. Everybody is.
Right.
And it wasn't like it was a look how far we've come. But the best part is apparently it's in his game notes and there was a graphic. Like, it wasn't like
it was rehearsed. They did the graphic card and everything. So it's like I'm a little confused as to why. Like at first when I saw the news, I'm like, what, like he must have said something either racist or sexist or
Me
something,
too.
right? Like that's what automatically we gravitate towards because we,
Same.
right lately. But then when you go in and you look at the article, and I'm like, wait, like what am I missing here?
Well, and it's like nobody wins in Tampa because it's an abandoned Costco. Like you shouldn't play baseball in there.
That is so good. Abandoned Costco.
It's a terrible
It
place to
doesn't
play
look bad.
baseball. You can't see shit in there.
Yeah.
No, to me, like I think the one thing that it took for me is it really kind of Baltimore fans should be excited, and it really I think showed that you're not ready for prime time if that's the reaction you're going to have.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know how you walk this back. I really don't. And I think that if they do end up firing him, that dude will get hired real quick.
Real quick.
Because what a good story it would be if you're the guy that hires him.
Watch
Of
him
course.
go to Vegas with the new Vegas
Oh
A's.
no,
Watch him.
no.
Yeah.
And like you've tanked for the Orioles for all intents and purposes. They tanked for basically 15 years because they did have that small window where the Manny Machado and company picks came up and were able to show their stuff, in which case they were then flipped for more player capital, which helped usher in the team that we see now. So I don't even really count those few years where they had some semblances of success because it was more or less a showcase for their previous tanking picks to then be dealt. And it worked brilliantly. I mean, as far as we know, it is very funny.
Yeah, as of now, it's right. Like,
and like Yankee fans are going crazy for it. It's like, guys, the Yankees have been 65-20, whatever their record is right now. You know what I mean? Like the Yankees have been that at this point recently. So the idea that like the Yankees haven't been able to do what the Orioles have done is just not true. They haven't won anything yet. So like, and I'm not saying that they're not doing great. They are, but the idea that
amazing,
what the Yankees do can't translate to something similar is ridiculous.
Yeah, Baltimore doesn't get there if Tampa Bay doesn't fall apart either. So like many slip took the cup in the lip. There is still a lot of baseball left to play. And obviously small sample size being what it is, but the best part of Baltimore was supposed to be that bullpen, and an Astros team that has struggled offensively all season beat the crap out of that bullpen. So, we'll see what happens, but just what an unbelievably bad look, and what a
so embarrassing.
Horrible.
Kind of a team who's had some of the joy sucked out of it from off the field issues. Let me tell you how much that sucks to now be afraid of posting anything pro Baltimore on Twitter because some jackass will be on there to comment about what happened. Like it just all in all, bad, awful look.
So which is funny because I'm looking at the standings right now. Like Baltimore's only 2.5 up on Tampa right now. So I mean, like you said, it's like there's still plenty of baseball, but the fact that he got suspended, because right now he's suspended indefinitely, right? Like for literally saying they struggled. He didn't say anything bad. They struggled, but look at them what they have done lately. And I'm like, he turned that whole negative into a positive, and I'm not quite sure why the owner got really pardon my language, got all butthurt about what was said. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. I think it's odd to say the least. And also, don't you want them to kind of talk about how bad they've been? Because the juxtaposition makes the team now look like superheroes, even though we all know that those records were purposeful by management. They were supposed to do that bad. So it's like, act like it wasn't supposed to be like that.
Well, the GM for Baltimore was the assistant GM for Lunau when they did it in Houston. Like that's exactly what he was brought in to do. Emily, I'm curious what you think about it though, because I don't know what the percentages are English, but I don't understand what the motivation is, but don't you think nobody wants that team to win more than the play-by-play? Like, it's not like he's mad they're winning. Like, he wants to cover.
It gives you more material to talk about doing the broadcast.
And baseball is all about like comparing this era to eras of the past. Yeah. So the idea that something like that is off limits, how could that even be communicated to your broadcasting crew? Because you just say only bad things are, they've been bad. So I don't even know how
Right,
that
let's
can be
be
an
honest.
expectation in baseball. Like, it makes no sense. Then fire your researchers. That's literally the reason they're there. They're there to research baseball history and then have something in comparison for today. So, like,
The owner of the Baltimore Orioles should really take a look at the broadcasting team for Cleveland, because all they do a lot of the times, Tom Hamilton, who's like been there for like 100,000 years, is he calls it just how it is. Like, this is a bad team. You know what I mean?
yes.
You know what I mean? So it's like, you got to call, a spade to spade. That's just how it goes.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I don't love our TV broadcasting team except for Julia, but she's alive. But whatever. But I
No respect.
so I
don't
listen
care
to
for them
the
either.
radio crew, but I don't know.
Yeah,
I
good
just,
job.
to me, if anything, when you think about the fact that, like you said, it was researched, that there was literally a graphic designer who put the graphic together. And so it's even possible that this guy didn't even know what he was saying when he said it. That he was just reading something on a graphic. I mean, but how is this not a private conversation? How is this a relatively public dismissal? I don't understand what they think they're going to get out of all of it.
Let me ask you, because and listen, I am not as experienced when it comes to that side of the business, right? But isn't there a pre-production meeting? Isn't there a production meeting? And then there's like, you go through all of this, right? There's a huge document that is created and you go list by list. All right, so at this point, they say this is the graphic that's going to show up. So it's like, I'm a little confused as to how did it get all the way to live? And then you got upset about then at that point.
There's hours long meetings. Like, these guys show up at the ballpark at noon for a 7:00 first pitch. And yeah, I mean, like I've actually even been talking to guys, and they'll even tell you, like, a lot of the banter in a blowout is they sort of have a binder of stuff to talk about if the game gets out of hand. Like, all of it is sort of, to some degree, not scripted, but pre-planned. And I just keep, it's the story of this season that I find the hardest to understand.
Yeah, I'm so confused.
Like, I'm like, even though I know that Angelos isn't there, obviously, but I'm just picturing him like kind of present at all his meetings. And he's just like, oh, I wish a motherfucker would. Like, just like,
right.
I challenge you, just do it. Do it. And then like they got the broadcast guys like, fine, I'll do it. And then does it and he gets fired.
That's amazing. Yeah, I was like, go ahead. How dare you?
Just sitting there like, oh, you would say this. You would.
Here we go.
That's how it went.
Shit just got real.
And he's got a cat, or like a ridiculously small
Yeah.
dog.
Yes. Yeah,
It has
mad
to be a
cat.
hairless
Like,
cat, though. It has to be a
Inspector
hairless cat.
It's got to be a hair. I agree. Yeah, to me, it just it just undercuts what's been a good season for them. And even if they have a not a great season, but it's still a step forward season. Although they could do what you said before and just sell everybody again and keep starting over. I mean, we don't really know. I don't know enough about the Angelos ownership to know if they're cheap or if they're whatever. It's still whatever it does. Are they known to be like?
They're the Oriole. They're the AL East version of the Dolans.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, they are one of the oldest teams in the region of the country where baseball is like, it's generational, yet they tanked for 15 years and it was totally okay. So like their fans are in a position mentally as fans, and this isn't a criticism. It's just that they are
Respect.
like, yay, we're good this year. Like, sort of like they have that expansion team mentality,
Mm-hmm.
but they are not an expansion team.
Yeah, that's good. Expansion team mentality. I like that. Let me ask.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
Let me ask you that, because obviously, if it goes the way it's going, right, they will be playing, playoff baseball, right? Like, national media is gonna just jump at this right there, right? Like, I mean, they're not gonna let that go, right? They're gonna pick it up on when they're playing, on Fox or on TBS or ESPN, wherever they're gonna be. I was like, well, their broadcaster was let go because he spoke the truth, and
I don't know if they will. I think it might be too far removed at that point. And I feel like the Fox broadcast team, especially in the postseason, they know that they have to like be kind of, I
Good.
don't even know how to say this nasty thing. I'm not going to say it. They have to be very kind to the owners of teams that make it to that far, where
True.
it's like they have to like exalt them basically because it's like the best thing that they can do. And especially they're going to talk about the way what's actually going to be interesting. And now I'm glad that you said that. Now it made me think about this. It's going to be the opposite. They're going to talk about how great they are and how they've struggled. And now they've gotten to this point and the
Cinderella
owner,
team.
Yep. And all of a sudden that history is going to be good because it's going to be spun to be something different than just look at how bad they were. Now they're good. It's going to be spun to be like this coming of age tale about like this, this ne'er-do-well team that's now amazing.
It's going to rear its head, not during the broadcast. It's going to rear its head the next time anything slips up in the org. And I only know that because I firmly believe the reason why the Astro story about the trash cans got run was after after game 6 of the 19 ALCS.
Yeah.
The Astros had that piece of shit on the team, Osuna, and Allison Footer, who's one of my favorite people that cover baseball. Every time he came into the game, she would tweet a number for like a women's shelter in Houston. And after Osuna, of course, he blew the game, right? Everybody forgets that he blew the fucking game. Right?
Yeah.
Whatever.
To DJ LeMahieu.
One of the assistant GMs kind of went up to a group of female reporters and just said really loud, "I'm so glad we got Osuna, blah, 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 blah." And there was a lot of pile-on stories from like ESPN and Sports Illustrated about how out of line this was. I think that married with what the 19 story was, trash can story was, I think that's a big part of why it blew up as fast as it was. I think that was reporters waiting around to stand up for their own. So I feel like if anything's going to happen, it's going to be if there's any degree of slip up with Baltimore. I don't think it'll be during the broadcast, to Emily's point, but I think if they're skeletons, they will come out, and part of it will be because of the story.
And I think that like they are, and this is my opinion, right? Like, I mean, I'm so far removed from that area, right? Like, but like I think that like a lot of people now are holding a grudge against the ownership, right, for doing what they did. Like, so like the media is gonna be like, well, let's start digging, let's find out what's going on. You know what I mean? There's someone's gonna start digging. I'm like, oh, you got rid of this dude. Hold my beer. Let's see what happens. You know what I mean?
I'm honestly surprised that it's taken this long. Like, it's basically been radio silence from the Orioles since this happened. Like, and I guess
not a word.
Masson is owned by the Orioles. Like, that's what I'm confused about, because Masson, don't they also broadcast the Nationals? So
yes.
Like, it's owned by the Orioles, but they also broadcast the Nationals, or is it like a part ownership? No,
know? I think the Orioles, if it's a part ownership, I think the Orioles have the majority ownership on the network. Because as far as I know, they've actually not said anything about they've not said he's suspended or not. He's just not been on TV.
Yeah, they haven't acknowledged it at all, which is odd. And I feel like we're now in like this gray area where they don't want to acknowledge it by reinstating him, because then that implies mistake by the ownership, and ownership ego won't ever allow that. So now they're just in this, like, we're not going to say anything because we don't have to.
Yeah. Baltimore owns 77%, and then the National owns the remaining 23%. So that's why they're able to go ahead.
So it's not even close on that. Yeah.
Wow. Can you imagine two teams owning the same thing like that?
Oh.
I guess they all own this league together. So what's the difference?
Right.
But you know what, too, though? Like, it keeps circling back to how much the owners don't give a shit.
None.
Oh, because they don't have to.
Right.
All the sports. It's weird. Like, I don't know how we can have one sport where we have the strongest players union and somehow the strongest organization of owners in the same group, because they don't care what we think. It's so.
Why do you think they're not fixing the whole TV bullshit that's going on? Right?
Yeah, they don't have to.
They don't care. They're getting their money. We're still watching. I'm in North Carolina. I'm a Guardians fan. So what did I do at the beginning of the season? I bought the MLB package so I can watch my Guardians.
Yeah.
Lose.
Yeah, seriously.
Oh.
And also, like, they don't have to care. And that's why anytime anyone ever brings up, especially it always comes up in the off season with free agent talks.
Yeah.
Talking about risk and there is no risk involved in owning a Major League Baseball team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like literally none. Look at how some of these teams, these owners desperately try to run these teams into the ground. I mean, the one in Oakland is really doing his damnedest to run the team into the ground. It is still worth like $1 billion more than it was when he bought it. And he hasn't done jack shit.
One of the
people are like, oh, they're taking all the risk. No, they're not. There's zero risk, actually.
There's zero, yeah. If you can afford to buy the team, the risk is finding out how to afford the team in the first place.
And when the owners tell you, it's like, do you know how much money it takes? And then all of them like, dude, I need you to just shut your pie hole.
Well, let's see.
I know, seriously. I'm like, I can't buy milk once a week. Yeah. Shut up.
Well, you can't buy milk. Okay.
Yeah. Well, it's because you're lactose intolerant. Anyway, but what is it? The TV revenue is the highest it's been. The attendance is the highest it's been. And it's a fuck ton more expensive to go than it's ever been.
100%.
Yeah, it's when Jessica and I, when we go, it's never less than a $400 experience. Like, and that's not counting driving down there and staying somewhere.
Right.
But
like, how do you even, you know what I mean? Like, imagine your family of 4 going to a Major League Baseball game.
Well, I really respect what the Rockies do because they keep a specific area of their ballpark where it's $5, and it's been $5 since.
Yeah. You're right.
And if you have the $5 ticket, you're also allowed to bring in snacks of your own and food. Like they recognize, hey, we have to let people that can't afford to come actually get into the game. So I've always
they have been sucking for 20-some thousand years. So
yeah, but yeah, I mean, yeah.
But you gotta respect that. I respect that a lot. That's kudos on them.
But when Emily was talking about Oakland, like Ed and I had Stu, we interviewed Stu, our friend Stu. He was the one who organized the reverse boycott in Oakland, and he was telling me that he owns a soccer team and he doesn't pay that team either. Like this is just what.
He owns the Roots, Oakland Roots.
Yeah, and they are apparently one of the newest teams in the MLS. They have the worst stadium. They have the worst players, and it's like. He's somehow
cash
been able
cow
to pay himself as a martyr in this whole situation. When, I look,
they're going to Vegas as soon as Oakland moves, right?
All sports owners, baseball owners, are the biggest pieces of crap.
Once he moves the Oakland A's, he's going to move the Oakland Roots to Vegas. Yeah. Oh yeah. 100%. Why wouldn't he?
How ironic. He's like the team called Oakland Roots, the newest team.
The Vegas
is being uprooted and going to Vegas.
All the jokes that are going to be had.
Shake on down the road.
Right.
You guys heard it here first, the Oakland uprooted. I don't even give a shit about this other league, but I need this to be known that I said this, okay?
Hashtag Oakland uprooted.
That's awesome. I love it.
It's killing me.
I feel bad for Oakland.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to move on. I don't want, this is my first day hosting, guys, so I'm trying to get the flow of the combo.
You tell us.
I was going to say, just speaking of going back to your roots, I wanted to talk to Jim about, and hear Ed's perspective, of course. John Singleton has come back to Houston, and Houston fans are very excited about it. To catch up anyone who's listening, he was suspended almost a decade ago for, I think, marijuana, and that basically kicked him out of the league.
Yeah, so he had an actual addiction to marijuana, and I do think the idea that he battled back through indie ball and Mexican League to get back is a story we should celebrate.
For sure.
What I find interesting about it is the Jose Abreu signing has clearly not worked out for Houston, so there's zero production at first base.
It's about time something didn't. No offense.
I would have preferred.
I'm not gonna disagree with you there.
But and so the Singleton thing is weird because I saw him when Nashville played in Memphis, and I was like, no way, that's the same guy. And I was like, not the director of Boys in the Hood, but the other Johnson.
Great movie, by the way. Great movie.
Me and Andy and Scott are at Nashville where we saw him literally, y'all, hit a ball out of the ballpark. Like not like colloquially out of the ballpark, like onto the street.
That's just straight up
and
his bull power.
Andy makes the mistake of taking a photo and putting, I didn't know you were still alive, to which his wife commented with all of his numbers for minor league baseball. So he gets called up to Milwaukee. He's got 20 plate appearances, gets DFA because he doesn't have options left. And so Houston signs him. Abreu thing hasn't worked. He's been crushing the ball in Sugarland, but as I think Ed knows, like if you go look at the numbers in the PCL, we're talking about pitchers with 5 and 6 ERAs. You don't send your best pitching prospects to the PCL because the ball flies. And Astros fans wanted him up, and I get it. Like I'm with them in the sense that nothing else is working. You might as well try whatever else you have available.
Yeah.
What's been interesting to see is if you have any kind of trepidation about the signing, like I did, immediately people were beating me up on Twitter or X, whatever we're calling it today. Like immediately, like it was so beat up that my two hosts of Go Astros were like, I was going to jump in, but I don't know that I want to. I was like, well, thanks, buddy. I
appreciate that thing.
So you get your ass beat out there.
By yourself.
But like today, he goes 0 for 4 with a walk, and his hardest hit ball was 80 miles an hour. And an Astros fan that I respect was like, I don't know, it's a pretty good day at the plate. What? Like, it's not like you went 0 for 4 and you flew out to deep center 4 times, and that sucks. Like,
right.
Yeah.
So they are twisting themselves in knots. And I think the sad part about it is it's such a fickle and uneducated fan base. And I don't mind saying that. Particularly, I think the loudest among us have been fans for 7 years. Like the criticism Yankee fan gives us, oh, y'all been fans since 15. I mean, that's true for a lot of them. And what will happen is 20 or 30 PAs down the road, and he's doing what everybody expects him to do. He will then become the villain again, and they'll want him DFA.
Right.
I think it's a train wreck waiting to happen. And I quite frankly feel bad for him because there is a good story there of substance abuse. I know that we all sort of, for most of us, marijuana is a thing that doesn't have a negative effect on our lives, but I guess for some people it does, and it definitely for him.
Of course.
And so it's going to be a really, really, really ugly thing. And again, good day at the plate. What?
I mean,
80 miles an hour.
Right. But let's think about that, right? Like, I mean, listen, and I look at it from the standpoint, and I'm sure you do too, Jim. It's like, this is a feel-good story, right? I mean, it is a feel-good story, right? You know, had his battles, you know, Philadelphia, Houston, you know, and then went down to Mexico, the Mexican League, which, by the way, not a lot of credit is being given to the Mexican League, which is a top-notch league.
Yeah, it's AAA level. I mean,
yeah, like it's legit AAA level. Puerto Rico League is like single A, double A, maybe.
It's like Scott's Polish league.
Right, exactly. So, you know, the fact that he went on there and he developed himself, and he never gave up on his dream is commendable. But let's be honest, like if you're not going to produce, they're going to send you down. It's just the way it's business.
And you guys know this, like with the way roster constructions are, you need flexibility out of your bench players, and he literally can only play first. He cannot play any other position. So he doesn't even have value to give other guys a day off. Like,
right.
If you're a utility player, you literally are playing every single position. You need to learn how to play every single position in the field.
Yeah.
Right. Or you better have pop.
100%.
Like, and he had a chance to win the game today. And the screenwriter in me is like, here it is. Here it goes. And he had that 85 mile an hour pop up to wherever. And
he got too excited. That's the problem.
Well, I think he's just a 4A baseball player. I don't think he's a major leaguer. And I think, I don't know.
There's nothing wrong with that, right? Like, I mean, I wish I would have. Listen, all I wanted was to at least play one season of like short season baseball. Never got the chance because I suck really bad. But like, you know, he's living the dream.
And I hate it for him. No matter what, it's a good story. And but I don't think it's going to work. And I just think that, you know, the tribalism that has developed into this fan base where you either think John Singleton is going to be Kirk Gibson in the 88 World Series, or Dusty Baker sucks. And somehow those two are related, and I don't know how.
Dusty Baker is a great manager. My God.
Look, and that's the other thing too. Like, I can like Dusty Baker and still be like, I don't know why he made that decision. Like, it's okay.
Right. Yes.
Right.
If you don't have 100% fealty, it's like you wished his death upon the manager.
I love Tito. Love Tito. I love him. I think he's a great manager. I question a lot of the shit that he's done.
Yeah.
You know?
Like pinch hitting for Miles Straw against the Astros a few weeks ago.
I like me some Miles Straw.
Yeah.
That was crazy. Oh my
Great
God.
defenseman. Can't hit for shit, but you know what I mean?
He's like, I needed a base runner, not a home run. It's like, okay, but he can't get on base either, Tito. So that doesn't actually answer the question.
Yeah, right. Like
You know,
Juan
what's
can
funny
get
about
on
that, though,
base. That's why he's batting bottom of the lineup.
Well, Straw. So Straw was Dusty's guy when he was here, and it was like watching Moneyball because the rumor is that James Click traded him because Dusty refused to play anybody else.
Is that why they
shit.
gave him a tribute video too? He didn't even win a World Series there. And it was
Yeah,
like, oh, he's back. Tribute video. It was like from Miles Straw.
I know.
Yeah,
It's Miles Straw. Like, I mean, let's be honest.
But
you know.
yeah, but no, like Dusty was openly mad about the trade in the media
Aw.
because he showed up one day and he didn't have it.
I was
he
like,
wrote it down.
oh, hey, Sean.
James Click was like, nope.
Wait.
Somebody else.
Where
They're like,
is
no,
it?
we
Meth,
sent him
right?
to a farm upstate. He's fine.
We sent it to Quadruple A Cleveland.
He's running with all the other center fielders.
He went over the Rainbow Bridge, Dusty. It's okay.
We sent him to the farm to die. Really. He ain't gonna be heard from again. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
And Jim, to your point earlier about Singleton being a quadruple A player, a few weeks ago, Buck was saying, I forget, someone said it, that Buck was saying in an in-game interview or something that like the gap between AAA and Major League in pitching he's never seen it larger. That like, because people are always talking about, even with the Yankees, like, oh, Pereira, this guy, he's hitting 900 OPS. Like, they should call him up. And it's like, okay, but this manager, and I don't often give credence. You guys know me, for better or for worse. I don't love giving credence. Like, they've been in the game forever. That means they know what they're talking about all the time. But in this case, in terms of like what he's seen, he started in the minor leagues, then came up. He's been involved in the game for so long as a manager at every level. For him to be saying that, it has to be something absurd in terms of the gap between.
It's
But
absurd.
you're seeing it though.
And you see it up and down the minors where like indie ball, like if you go to say watch the Rocky Mountain Vibes, right? Like they're in I forgot what league they're in, Ed, but you're gonna see 12 to 11 games because if anybody has any velo or any kind of break on a breaking ball, they are immediately snatched up and stashed in someone's bullpen. And so as a result, you're not getting anything.
Yeah.
You're not seeing any type of decent pitching at the AAA level because as a result of that, you're keeping your better prospects at AA where they're going to get regular innings.
Like I was Pioneer League, by the way.
What's that?
The Pioneer League.
Oh, it's Pioneer League. Thanks. So because remember I was texting you about the guy I watched pitch for, I guess it was Stanton Wilkes-Barre, maybe whoever was y'all's AA team. No, the Somerset Patriots.
Oh, the Yankees. Sorry.
This guy was rocking a 112 ERA with a lot of appearances. So there's a big difference. And I almost feel like we've gotten so numbers driven, but the numbers people aren't using, they're not using numbers, they're using expected numbers or what the numbers should be, that they're ignoring what they see with their eyes. And like, I'm not an anti-numbers guy, but it's like, if he's a good hitter, why doesn't he hit good? Like
that's been my biggest pet peeve. Like, I'm not an analytical person at all. Like, I mean, listen, that they have super smart people.
We had a conversation with you. We know.
Yeah. Right. I mean, IQ not that high, guys. But like, I mean, like to your point, right? I'm more of a person that I like to watch how they handle themselves on the field, and all of that, mechanics and all that. And then when you're seeing that, I'm like, man, they said that this is a great player, but he can't place that ball right down in that lower corner for shit. I mean.
Yeah, I mean, I think it just speaks to how difficult it is to hit at the end of the day. That, like, especially at this level, that even they've now done things to try to make it easier to hit without fundamentally changing the game by lowering the mound or pushing the mound back because they realize
the shift.
Right, exactly. It's all aesthetic. And it's worked so far. It's aesthetically pleasing a little bit more than it was.
I was wrong about all of it because I think all the changes have made. I will make a couple all my life. Emily, one of the things I was thinking about when you were saying that though was, oh my god, I just had a brain fart. I don't remember. You keep talking. I'll think of it later.
That's awesome. Congratulations!
Live
live.
We're live, baby.
We're live, everybody. that like it's so hard to hit that they've made all these changes to make it even a little bit easier, and it's not going to be easier, and it's all part of, and this is okay, my tinfoil hat for a second. It's all part of salary suppression, because that's why they now have guys that are flamethrowers, and they have all these bullpen games, and they're taking starters out because starters cost a lot of money, and you eventually have to pay them. But these bullpen guys, you have guys exactly, and you have these guys that they're just churning and burning in the bullpen and having them throw max effort and throw as hard as they can, so they don't last the 6 years between start of the clock and free agency. And it's just a cycle that will never end. So that's why they're doing everything besides getting away from the flame throwing, is because, hey, hitters are better than ever. So we're going to keep having them throw hard so they keep their numbers down. But we can't stop this model because it actually keeps salary down as well.
I think you're 100% correct.
Yeah.
I think the adding the additional pitcher to the roster is part of that too.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. And you were talking about the hitting, about how hard it is. And I remember what I was going to say, like, I'm famous on Astros Twitter for my sarcastic situational hitting, but look, Kyle Tucker comes up with 2 outs and the bases loaded and he flies out. I'm not going to get mad because hitting is hard. If
he's usually good.
And he's usually good. Now, if Pena, the batter before him, can't lift the ball for a sacrifice fly, then I am mad, because there are ways to equalize that in baseball. But like you said, base hitting is hard. But I think the economics of baseball all the way around, I don't know where it's going. So I do think it's salary suppression. I do think I have a question for you though. Finish your point, and then I'll give you had a point.
Who? Ed? Me? Ed?
Yeah, I got a bunch of them here, so go ahead, Emily.
Well, no, my point was actually just more insane ramblings with a tinfoil hat. So why don't you say your point before I go off on some sort of tangent about salary suppression?
Oh, okay. All right. So to your point, though, like, I think the best, case to be studied is the New York Mets. All that money that they spent on that, and then it didn't even do anything for them. Look at where they're at now. They're not even considered to be in the playoffs at all. Like, I mean, they completely imploded, and then they said, you know what, fuck it, let's just tear this up. So yeah, I think
they're not going to spend that way again next year.
Oh no, he will not. He was like, no, this is not. We are going to be Tampa Bay. We're going to study that model, and then we are going to exploit it because it's working for them.
And also, I mean, I give Cohen credit, and not that I want to give any sort of billionaire credit or any billionaire, but I give him credit in that
he knew
everyone tried to make fun of them for the risk, but this risk was either going to work or it wasn't. There was no in between.
Yeah.
And that's what we learned, is that if Verlander has a great year, if Scherzer has a good year, and the guys who had success last year, your role player guys were able to replicate that success, the Mets would have been in it. But it's baseball, and baseball doesn't really care about what you hope the ceiling is. So it just didn't work out that way, as it doesn't for 29 other teams, or for 28 other teams.
Every fan should want an owner like him, frankly.
Right. Yeah, because then he cut his losses, said, hey, it's already spent money, and moved on.
Yeah, but he at least threw everything in it. Because we keep hearing from Crane, I'm happy to spend the money. Okay, we'll win.
When are you going to spend the money?
Maybe I guess Dana Brown, I didn't see the quote, said that Tucker will be an Astro for life. I don't know what that means. I don't know. Whatever.
What is Tucker going to take a pay cut?
I have a feeling the trading of, to get too in the weeds, I think the trading of Drew Gilbert means they need to solidify the outfield, and he is only 26. So I'm not a fan of the big deal, but a 10-year deal at 26 makes a lot more sense than a 10-year deal at 29 or whatever.
Oh, if you're in the 30s.
Yeah. But what I wanted y'all's opinion on one of the things that I always hear is if you know how like arbitration happens, if you come too opposite each other, that it can damage negotiations later. Do y'all think that's actually a thing, or do you think it's just this is how baseball works?
I don't think that's a thing. I think that, maybe it can hurt a player's ego if he thinks that he's worth X and his team has been telling him he's worth X. And then they go to arbitration. Meaning his team, meaning his representation. Yeah. And then the team, meaning his employer, says that, hey, we only think you're worth Y. So maybe in that sort of case, but I think that that's an early lesson for a player that, like, hey, this team isn't your team. Your employer isn't here to make you feel good. Unfortunately, you are here to make them money, and they're here to pay you. So I think that they're probably taught that lesson a little bit earlier, and they're humbled earlier in their career due to the grind of getting to being able to even get to arbitration. That I think that it's probably a lot oversold, and I'm not even mad at it because so much of the media is spun to make players look bad. So if that's something that's out there that makes the team look bad because it looks like they are doing some damage to their relationship with the player that people like, I'm all for that being propagated, to be honest.
Yeah. Because
Lindor.
Go ahead.
Cleveland and Lindor, they went into arbitration, and then Lindor got his feelings hurt to the point where as soon as he left and he signed that contract with the Mets, he even went ahead and was like, I hated it there because they kept calling me Frankie and I wanted to call Francisco. I'm like, you're just upset because they didn't want to pay you there.
Well, I think it's a false equivalency of, hey, I go and ask my boss for a raise and my boss says no. I don't think it's the same thing.
That's not the same thing, I don't think.
Because it's a regular schedule thing that occurs.
Yeah. You're paid to do a job though, and you're going to maximize every position, every way possible. Like as a player, I don't fault them for wanting as much money as possible. And then as a team, I don't fault them either for saying, nah, we're going to give you this. Right. I mean, at the end of the day, they need to come to a happy medium where they're both happy and not happy at the same time.
Yeah. It's a fault of the system. So I can understand players being upset by it, but it's their union negotiated for it, and it's just a sign of how little power they really have in those negotiations. And you don't blame them; they're nervous that because they may be walked in free agency, or they may not have a good season after that. So they're trying to make up for not making shit for years.
Correa with the mysterious ankle injury, which I'm always of the opinion, though, that if there's money out there, I want the players to get it, not the owners.
Oh, totally.
I'm with you. Yeah.
Every cent. Which I'm kind of glad that you brought it there, because since we're talking about salary and everything, I just wanted to maybe just bring some perspective. So a week or so ago, I was just looking into, because it was a conversation about the Orioles, and then I kind of went off on a tangent there in terms of salaries and everything. And unfortunately, the resource spotrac.com, which is great, they only go to 2011 in terms of salary tracking. So I can only go back that far. But numbers are always thrown around, and it's in a vacuum, right? Because the vacuum is this league, and the top is compared to the bottom, and that's it. Not compared to anything. We don't know revenue streams. We don't know any of that.
TV deals and all that fun stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
So in a vacuum, it looks like, the Yankees and the Mets, they make this ceiling and they've spent so much money and they should be able to win because they spend so much money, yada, yada, yada. I want people to keep in mind. So in 2011, the top salary for a player was $32 million. It was A-Rod. That was his yearly salary.
Okay.
In 2023, the top salary is Scherzer and Verlander. They both are making $43.3 million.
Whoa.
The equivalent in an inflation calculator. So inflation has gone up. I had it written down here, but in an inflation calculator, $32 million in 2011 is equivalent to $43.4 million in 2023. So in a vacuum, without any context, it looks like salaries and it looks like team salaries have really exploded and they go up, but they are not keeping up with revenue we don't even have to know revenue to know. They're not keeping up with revenue. Yeah. They're not even keeping up with inflation, because the Yankees payroll, it has gone up slightly from what it was then. Obviously it was like 211 million. Now it's like 290 million or something, but it's only increased by 25% or something, 30%, and inflation's gone up 36%. So this whole idea that they're keeping up with everything, and it's why systems like the Yankees are no longer working if they don't use their greatest advantage to its fullest extent anymore, which is the free agent market and being able to bring in players since they don't draft high. So that's sort of where I was just want anyone listening to keep that in mind.
That's mind blowing.
Yeah,
so for as much as they're making much more money on revenue, I mean, we're selling more gear. They're not putting it back in the team.
No, they're not. They're keeping up. They're barely keeping up with inflation, basically.
Wow.
So let me ask you this, Ben. Because no shit. I see a point. I see a point in the future where the Yankees are going to say, it's like, no, we're not going to spend the way that we were going to spend. And then when that time comes, that's going to be a dangerous time, because right now they are, like everybody's like, oh, it's the Yankees. They're the big spenders. The Dodgers, they're the big spenders, right? You got the West Coast, East Coast. So, what would the future look like when those two teams are decided? They're like, nope, another team can take over, and then we'll see how that goes.
I don't think another team will take over. I think this is it. I think that the Yankees, Steve Cohen came in kind of as a rogue owner, and I think that the owners kind of, I guess, right, and they understood what he was doing. But I think that the Yankees have clearly, especially with, and I don't even think Cashman is as bad of a general manager as people make him out to be. I think that his goals are actually different than what they tell the media their goals are. They say World Series are bust, but that's clearly not their goal anymore. It's to maintain a 500 or better team, a team that's in it and keeps the casual fans interested all year, and he's done that. So I think that the Yankees have made it clear that they are committed to maintaining the artificial ceiling of payroll system that doesn't have a real tax. They have all these self-imposed taxes and the luxury tax, the competitive balance tax, whatever you want to call it. And they just are going to maintain that ceiling, and they're only going to move up incrementally to what we saw from 2011 to now, is that, hey, this is what it's going to be. And we're going to move up slowly every year. And that's going to be it. And you're not going to see any teams besides your random big market team like the Mets, like what just happened, where maybe one year they will, they'll jump up, but now they're about to come back down.
And every single owner will use the illusion, well, we can't keep up with the Yankees. So
right.
Stop making so much sense, damn it.
God, like
I was sitting at my computer desk like an absolute nut job until like 4:00 in the morning a few weeks ago. I have the accountant like the pen light on me. My fiance is asleep in the across the room, and I'm sitting there with like the cork boards and like the strings. Like I was like, this needs to get out there. People need to find out about this.
Next week we're gonna figure out Kennedy.
Yes. I was so close. I was this close to cracking it.
Oh my God. And during that time, didn't the Baltimore Orioles made this massive deal with, I can't remember his name now. He's not in the league anymore. Oh my God.
Chris Davis.
There you go. Yeah. Like paid
that was great.
Insane amount of money, and then it did not work. My God.
Like it worked so poorly, in fact, that he had a hitless streak that was literally historic.
Yeah, and it was on.
They didn't care if they talked about that.
Yeah,
they talked about that plenty on the broadcast. No one got fired.
Yeah,
I just think and I'm going to sound like an old man, but it just seems like owners before. And look, and I think the Astros have a good owner. But it does seem like there used to be a generation of baseball people who own teams who actually cared about winning, and now it's these short 5 or 10 year investments. It's all they care about, and being able to flip that investment later on, and that's not good for the sport.
No, I mean they have the luxury of time. These owners can own a team for as long as they want. They own it. They die. They pass it on to whoever's in their will. So they can outlast players who don't have any time. They only have such a finite career that's why they end up just. They can't hold out for more. They can't just, sit down and not sign in free agency when the new season is coming around, because their career is going to be short and then they're out. So I think that the league's in a lot of hot water because of that, because now what's different from all those years ago is that the union is stronger than it's ever been. So the owners are just focusing on breaking the union.
Yeah.
Well, that is the goal, is to break the union.
Oh, that always is.
Yeah.
So we'll never see this change.
No.
It's just going to get worse. The penalties are going to get worse. The next CBT, the next CBA, we'll see it.
Yep. Let me ask you this, because I mean, look at it this way.
End the show on a depressing note, Emily. That's what I do.
That's what I do. That's how I keep people coming back for more. If you want to hear happier, then come back next week.
Next week we'll talk about something else. But look at the Oakland A's. Look at the fandoms, right? They're still showing up. They're still buying, even though the owner is not putting a single cent in there. Their bathrooms in the bullpen suck. Like, I mean, that whole place is falling apart. He doesn't.
It's owned by cats now, clouders of cats.
Exactly. So like, I mean, for the Oakland A's, my brother, huge, massive Oakland A's fan, and he's still buying every year. He buys a new hat to start the new season.
Right. These teams got us by the cojones, just the
Yeah,
way it
they
is.
do.
And it's like, oh, switch to a new team. No, it's impossible. There are teams that I like when they win, but I don't give a shit when they lose.
Well, that's the thing. It's like I can't just wake up tomorrow and be like, you know what? Maybe now I'm a Cardinal fan. No,
Yeah, no, I wish. Well, not the Cardinals. I just wish I could do that.
Yeah.
no, but
Not the
like,
Cardinals.
you can't. It's and I think I know we're almost out of time, but I do feel like baseball's different from other sports. I don't think you can wake up and just decide to be a fan of somebody else.
No.
No,
You can't.
You certainly can't show your face on this podcast if you do. All right,
Yeah.
because I'm not going to let you live it down.
that's right.
All of a sudden, they're gonna see that flag back
The
there.
unusual
It's
for
gonna
baseball
change.
player.
Yankee symbol.
Right, exactly. I'm a Yankee fans now, guys.
Life, born and bred Yankee
Yeah,
fan.
I've always been a Yankee
I
fan.
wanna-
Puerto Ricans are Yankee
Other
fans.
flags and just change them every episode and see if we notice.
Yeah, right. Wait until I move into my new house and put the new studio. A different flag every day, every
I've had a
week.
Giants flag up there the whole time. What are you guys talking
What are
about?
you talking about? I have been a Pittsburgh fan the whole time.
Pittsburgh. Yeah, you have to mix in some shitty teams to keep it real.
Exactly. Yeah, you can't just be good all the time.
Dude,
You're gonna get called out real
Miami
quick.
Marlins are the shit.
Yeah.
Actually, Bucks are good this year, but still.
I do love their
Guys.
colors though.
This has been great. Thank you for allowing me to end that on a happy, laughing note. Because I was ready to go sadder. I was like, before we close, let's see who's died this week in the league. I'm just kidding.
I'm ready to jump off a bridge right about
I just
now.
got her in memoriam. Like, oh man, look, William. Friedkin.
This is my first and last time hosting, everybody.
Forget it. Don't bring her back.
I'll just be a
Okay, guys?
contributor from now on.
Yeah, right.
Fuck was that depressing show?
Well, I guess you guys have a good week. We'll see you next Thursday.
Maybe.
Maybe. Hey, Locked On Astros, our old friends. Great show, y'all. Thanks for watching, man. We ran into each other at the ball game the other day. It was awesome. All right, we are going to end the broadcast, but we will be back next week. Ed's hosting next week. Emily's hosting in 2 weeks. After that, toodles and enjoy your team
Go have a beer.
raising money by inflation.
Walk it off, everybody.
Walk it off.